communications, oral, written, and audio-visual or video communication. Here you can see the objectives of the lesson. At the end, you should understand common elements of a technical presentation, how to create an effective presentation, how to organize a technical report, key elements of technical reports, and key points in preparation of audio-visual communications, presentations. Okay, in engineering, we have typically three types of communications. Oral, usually in the form of presentations. Written, in oral communication, we may also have some other types of activities along with presentation. Written communication, typically in the form of technical reports, and audio-visual communication, where we may have pre-recorded presentations, which will be applicable in this course as well. Okay, in oral communications, the first thing that we should consider is audience. We may simply see, or we may simply think about the answers of these questions on the slide. We should understand the interest of the audience, what they want to see, or what they want to have from our presentation or talk, how much they know about the talk, and what they don't know, so that they can learn the talk. And the attitude of the audience is quite important, both toward the speaker and the subject, and also the values of the audience is important. For a successful presentation, there are two things that we have to consider. One is simple formula, the other one is a wisdom. For a successful presentation, first, the presenter, speaker should know the subject very well. And the speaker know the audience and, of course, preparation. So we have to know a subject, know the subject that we want to talk about. We have to think about the audience based on the previous slide, 6 questions. Then we have to prepare. So we need to spend time. Wisdom is quite popular. As usual, we have 3 components: the presentation, introduction, body, and conclusion. And this wisdom tell them what you are going to tell them. That's introduction. Tell it to them, body, and conclude by telling them what you just told them. It's very popular, so we may think about this when we are preparing our presentation. Okay, typically we use some tools like office applications, or PowerPoint, or like Prezi. And we have presentation consisting of sort of slides. So we have to be careful when we're preparing a slide. Here you can see some basic guide, or let's say in preparation of our slides. First, we have to use large font, typically 24 plus, so that the audience can see and read the text. Typically, there should be 5 to 7 bullet points on a slide. So we have to be careful about how much information we are going to put into a slide. So crowding into a slide could be problematic. We have to avoid fancy graphics and some special effects. Usually engineers do not like such effects or graphics, and it may distract from the content. If you want to make a point, we have to prepare several slides focusing on that point. And usually in such cases, we have to give a general idea in the first slide and then go into the details of the point with the next slides. Canned talk or presentation is not preferable. We use bullet points for guidance. We do not just read text. Use some cue cards. Don't memorize anything. Try to be natural and now use some predefined sentences. Instead, you understand the concepts and try to explain naturally. Here, the timing is very critical, and usually it's quite difficult to meet the requirements. So it's better to make practice. Okay, let's see the content, the introduction. It's quite important to introduce the material well. So this is usually planned in the introduction section. And Einstein's statement is quite useful, valuable to understand how we explain, how we present our work. He says, nothing should be explained in such a way that it cannot be understood by an intelligent 12-year-old. So we have to plan our content such that any smart child, 12-year-old child, can understand it. So this means that we have to make things simpler and well organized. How about the body, the content, main body? We usually consider 3 to 4 main points in our presentation, and it's better to dedicate approximately 2 to 5 slides to support each main point. And usually the first slide should provide some key ideas. And then the remaining 3 or 4 slides should give the details. So then the talk should simply, the complex of the presentation should be getting higher as the talk proceeds. If we can do this, such that a 12-year-old can understand, this means that we are expert. The conclusion, there are 2 things that we have to consider when we are preparing conclusion. First, usually we tell them what we told them. Simply, we summarize main points, and then motivate the audience to future work, future research. These 2 are the main components of vision section. And this section should motivate people to do something or to make some decisions or improve something. Okay, in preparation for presentation, of course, the experience is the most important one. And in order to gain experience, we have to do more presentations, make presentations. And the best thing that we could do is to practice it actually. If when we prepare our presentation, it's better to make it to our relatives, like friends or family members. It's better to make presentation before the day before the presentation you are gonna do, and do not write the presentation before the talk, before the planned time. Instead, review your presentation just before the talk. Okay, three stages of presentations and three different stages are quite applicable in especially senior design projects that you are gonna take next year. We have project proposal, where we have introduction, problem analysis, requirement specification, and preliminary design options. And we have design review and final presentation. In design review, we have proposed design and some test results along with project plan. And finally, we have final design, testing, and results and conclusion. Some of them are applicable to E392, so for this course. Here you can see a checklist and self-assessment. This may be applicable to any project presentation. As you can see, there are two sections, organization and visual aids. You can assess yourself when you are preparing. Here you can see presentation delivery, the next section. Okay, so written communications. When we say written communications, of course, we remember technical reporting. Usually we have academic writing or something like that course at undergraduate level. I'm sure that you are familiar with technical report writing. So this is going to be a revisit. Basically, there are three types of reports that we come across when we need skills. Proposals, there may be proposals, usually client or an organization specify the format and content, and you have to construct your proposal according to this format and structure. Progress and final report, these are related to the projects. We present by writing a report, our progresses, achieved in a project. And at the end, we present the outcomes, the product, the form of final reports. Okay, in this course, E392, we have on the final report. Next year, senior design project, we have interim, progress, and final report. Report writing. Okay, here, the text that you have to be careful when you are organizing your report. First, it should be clear and concise. We should provide diagrams, tables, equations, graphs, flowcharts. You have already studied many methods applicable to design projects, so you have to use them. Usually use graphs, flowcharts, and tables to represent them. some of our ideas. Proofreading is quite critical. Typo or grammar errors can be corrected by some tools. Recently, we have some artificial intelligence tools. You can try them as well. Appearance is important, so margins and pagination. Main components in a report are listed here. We have a cover, title page, abstract, and table of contents. Then we typically have an introduction, method, body, results and discussion, conclusion, and references. 12-point font size is quite typical in reports, and Times New Roman is preferable. Here you can see details of main headings, sections in the report. Introduction, it's about the background of the subject, how your design will be built upon previous works. I have to give objectives, refer to the relevant publications or references to help readers to understand why you use the approach and the constraints exist. Method, that's the main body of what you have done, how you have done. There should be sections and subsections in this heading. So you should focus on the details of what you have done and how you have done. In results and discussion, that's the heart of the report, because majority of the things that you are going to present here belong to you, what you have achieved actually. So try to be clear and use figures, graphs, tables with some discussions on those graphs and tables. And finally, conclusions, that's a brief statement of inferences. You draw some conclusions from the results section. So this is usually based on the results and discussion section. And you highlight some significant findings. Finally, there should be references, list of reports, articles, and patents. These are critical. Everything that you have taken from other sources should be clearly defined in the main body of the report. Finally, audio-visual presentations. In this course, we are going to prepare a video presentation, so this is applicable to this slide, or the elements presented in this slide applicable to video presentations. 3 V's: verbal, vocal, and visual. Verbal, the words, content come out of the speaker's mouth is quite critical. So what the speaker says is important. That's the first V, verbal. Vocal, indicative of how it is said, including intonation, enthusiasm, inflection. That's the second V. And the third V is visual. What the audience sees, speaker's appearance, eye contact, posture, facial expression, and gestures. Okay, at the bottom, you can see a PhD study, a reference, whose results say that the impact of, when we order the impact of these elements on the audience, verbal is 7%, vocal is 38%, and visual is 55%. I'm not sure that this is applicable directly to our presentations. For highly technical audience, the things that you are saying is more important usually. Okay, here you can see audio-visual presentation applications. There are 3 applications that you can use. You can use Prezi, online PowerPoint or Zoom meeting. Zoom meeting is quite popular. Previous year students have used Zoom meeting. They simply record their presentations through Zoom. You simply prepare your presentation, typical PowerPoint presentation, and set a meeting and then record the meeting. And of course, you have to organize your friends who is going to speak about which section of the presentation. It's quite easy, but the timing is quite critical. It's better to make practices several times. Here you can see the grading, tentative for report and video presentations. This is applicable to 392 as well as senior design project courses, 491, 492. For the report, here you can see the evaluation criteria, organization and format, teamwork, and not much, as you can see. The design is the main focus of the reporting. So you have to dedicate most of your report to this design, preliminary, concept development, design details, and project management. Language, grammar, spelling, punctuations are important. Better to use a tool for this. On the other hand, for video presentations, we see 1, 2, and 3 sections: team working, communication skills, and design again. For team working, the organization is important, task sharing, responsibilities clearly defined among the team members. The workload should be fairly distributed, well planned, and the outcomes should be visible. So measurable deliverables for each task assigned to a member, the audience. So the instructor should see what is assigned to a member and how much it is achieved. So how it meets the objectives of the project. This should be clearly visible in your video presentation. Communication language of the presenter, grammar, spelling, and pronunciation. Audio visual of the slides, font size, style, information relevance, the amount of information or text visual balance. Audio visual of the presenter, clearly visible face. The face should be clearly visible, by the way, that's quite important. Be careful. Clear voice, eyes not reading the slide, but focused on the ideas, not the environment or slides. Design, preliminary, concept development, design details. So these are the concepts, components that you have to present. All of them are somehow composed from the design stage. Needs identification, problem statement, objectives, literature survey, requirements, and constraints. Concept generation and evaluation, functional decomposition, behavioral models, test plans, and cost analysis, risk analysis, economical standardization, certification, legal and safety issues. Okay, note that these are somehow updated. We regularly work on those criteria and then improve them. So the latest version can be found in the course page.